It is the halfway point of the season, round number 3, and we head to my home county for this round of racing. Good evening and welcome to the TSRC PC GT3 Series here on the JP Broadcasting Channel. My name is Kelsey Gill, and today I'm joined by Callum Marham and in the commentary box, as well as Mr. Kieran Sharp, bringing all of the on-track action to you fine folk wherever you may be. Good evening, Callum. How are you, mate? You excited for some TSRC action?
Yeah, really looking forward to it tonight. It's a bit of a different thing to what I'm used to watching these cars out here tonight, but it's a track I'm very familiar with, seen it in many different series, and well, I'm looking forward to seeing what these drivers can get up to because it's a full grid of completely new names to me as well, so apologies in advance if I butcher any, but really looking forward to what these guys can do out on track and well, see who can maximise the potential of their car.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do any worse than Zach with the pronunciations out there. That's my little jab at him while he's not here to defend himself. I'm sure I'll hear all about that later on. But we head then to West Kingsdown in the Garden of England, that is Kent, for a race around the one and only Brands Hatch. There are many circuits in England, but this one stands out as one of the greats. It's fast, technical, and if not treated with respect, may just see you into the barriers. High-speed corners on a narrow track where oversteer can be rampant will make this yet another tough track to join the predecessors this season of Suzuka and the Nürburgring. Callum, Brands Hatch is going to test the drivers this evening. Do you have any insights or any advice that might help them out there tonight?
Well, the main thing is a lot of people know it's almost like a written rule. Don't go side by side through Paddock Hill Bend. It's almost like a suicide mission. It's not going to end well. I've seen it happen many times throughout many different series so far this racing season. And, well, you see people go side by side. I've seen a 3 wide around there as well. It's very, very rare it pulls off. But that's one thing I'd recommend these drivers not to do. But then around the back half of the track, it's just keep your foot planted. And just put your faith in the car, because I've been around this track several times myself in a few different cars, and well, when I go a bit too easy on the car and sort of let off a little bit, I'm very slow. But if you just go all out and really try and push the car to its limits around the back half of the track, you will find some unbelievable pace and catch those cars up ahead of you, if there are any at all.
Yes, indeed. And the setup's going to be very important around here. And with the nature of this circuit being so narrow and so fast, it's really going to be important to have a car that's going to be all put together, especially in qualifying. How important do you think qualifying position is going to be in tonight's race?
Oh, massively, because like we were just saying about Paddock Hill Bend, you know, if you manage to get in front of your close rivals, your opponents, or fellow friends out on the grid, as long as you're in front of them, I feel like going into Paddock Hill Bend, it'll be very easy to defend, because I feel like these drivers may be a bit, now I don't know any of the drivers, they might not be, but I feel they're going to be a bit reluctant to form an overtake on turn 1, especially on the very first lap as well. So yeah, qualifying position for me is very important. You want to try and get yourself at least in the top 3, ideally, because that'll give you the best starting position. You've only got maybe 1 or 2 cars ahead of you, say you're starting P3, but you've got an entire field behind you. But if you get the right line, you'll be able to keep all those cars behind you and not have too many issues leading around into turns 2 and 3, as long as you get the run down perfectly.
Yeah, there we go then. So qualifying going to be very, very important at the moment. Hello, Stuart Rice and Phil across the pond in the chat. Nice to see some familiar faces in the chat coming to say hello. Maybe some predictions from yourselves, perhaps. Stuart Rice says, also Callum is henceforth known as Mile Long Ham, it seems, after the pronunciation of the surname. Did I get it right, or did I butcher that one?
Oh no, you got it right. A lot of people tend to get it wrong, but the thing is, with where me and Zach both come from, because we are both from the same place, the way people say it around here is just Mullum. So yeah, it's not often I hear it pronounced correctly, so it's actually a blessing to be in the booth hearing that tonight. So I have to admit, really enjoying that so far.
Well, there we go then. Clearly I've become a seasoned professional in this with the TSRC, at least with all the names that we've got, and we've got some times on the board already. And if there's one car that we're going to be taking, keeping a close eye on, it is the car number 64. It's Jack Southfield. I've been told that the Bentley is meant to be very dominant around this track, or at least a good car. So if Jack doesn't win the race, then, well, he's going to be in for a little bit of little bit of a hard time, I think, from the rest of his TSRC folk, I think.
Now, if I'm not mistaken as well, the Bentley being as big as it is, will be probably the easiest car to defend in as well. So I certainly would be playing my cards if I was in this session here. I'll be playing my cards with the Bentley, and I'll probably be choosing that just because then my car's as wide as it possibly can be, really. I mean, some of these do look quite wide now looking at them, actually, but I do feel the Bentley's just so much of a brick, it's easy to defend those cars coming up behind you.
Yes, indeed, and that'll be something that Jack Southfield will be trying to do, and something we'll be keeping our eyes on for sure. But we'll have a quick run through the championship now before we get too much deeper into qualifying. Dominic Ligner's leading the way. It's 31 points in the pros. Then it's Sir Smoggy following behind on 24 points. He's just 7 points behind the German. Sam Fleety is in third at the moment, 24 points as well. He's tied with Smoggy. Then we have Ethan Faulkner, Victor Martin, Samuel Chumley, Guillaume Hamling, Maurice Stryker, Oscar Saristo, Nico Veldman, Elias Troyer, James Wright, Stuart Pryor, Jamie Nuttall, Slav, Jack Southfield, Mav Gardner, Mauritius Krisiak, and Mo Jamal as well, making up your pros. And then if we take a quick glance over the AMs, which there aren't too many of them out there tonight, as we watch Slav go around in his Tiger Stripe livery. Do love that car. It is 30 points for Lucas Spice, who's tied with Ryan Blanchett. I believe they're both out today, so we'll be watching that battle keenly. Then there's Ivan Tomasi as well in P3 on 21 points, so 9 points behind the two tied leaders. Then we have Andrew Priadko, Geard Alkamp, Patrizio Gemello, Jim McGowan, Walter Steenbergen, Ryan Cockle, Paolo Cisco, Antonio Friera, Adam Brown, Marcelo Magalhaes, Evandro Martins, Jack Holden, and Callum Morton in the order as well. So that is the championship. We're going to take... that's going to be going into tonight at least. And remember, there's a drop round, so the lowest round does disappear as well. So a couple of drivers already taking those. The likes of Spies and Blanchett both dropping their P2s as their worst so far. But we'll take a dive into qualifying then. It's fairly close times between the top 7 drivers at the moment. Stuart Pryor's trying to get in closer as well. Fairly split between the two classes. But there's some drivers out there in the AMs that can get themselves in amongst the pros. And do you reckon, is it a big part of the race, Callum, having the two different classes fighting out there together? Because of course they don't have to yield to one another. They're all racing for position.
Yeah, they don't have to. We've got to remember that they're all racing drivers out there, and they're all going to have the racing driver mindset, which is it doesn't matter what class you're in, they're going to race the wheels off your car. So I feel that it's going to be very entertaining for us seeing these guys go to battle tonight. But I feel like maybe some of the pros could get a bit irritated or frustrated being held up by some of the AMs if they are slower, but who knows, we could have some AMs leading the way. Anything could happen in these races. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I'm all for supporting, you know, pro versus AM battles because it really is entertaining. And you know, seeing when someone has the amateur sign next to their name, fighting out very well against a pro and getting some good side-by-side battles and good entertainment, it always brings a smile to my face. So I'm really looking forward to what these guys can do against each other, no matter what class they're in.
Yeah, they definitely do, and there's always a lot of nice little fights between both ends, and they're all great racing drivers in their own right and do an incredible job. We've got 5 minutes and 53 seconds left on the clock as we go along. Dominic Ligner's leading the way. He's 2 tenths ahead of Sam Fleety. Phil across the pond says that Smoggy is going to win the race. Out there, he's currently in P3 at the moment, just 3 tenths off of Dominic Ligner. Here's Jameo coming across the line now. I don't know if this is a fast time from the car number 74. No, it's a start of a fast time though, so perhaps he'll go around again and get going. But it's approaching crunch time really around this lap. Do you reckon the track evolution around here is going to be quite significant?
Yeah, and I think, well, we're getting to that point that I like to call squeaky bum time, because it is getting down to the last few minutes here. It's getting down to the wire where it's going to really come in handy. You know, the track temp probably has risen maybe a little with all these cars going around as well, so that is something to factor in. But, you know, the main thing with this qualifying is you kind of some drivers profit massively with clean air, and some drivers profit massively with the draft. So it all depends on your driving style. If you prefer just to have a clear track so you can focus on your lines, you may get a better time than if you were sort of stuck behind someone, because you'll get a draft, don't get me wrong, down the straight, but you also will get some dirty air through a corner as well, and it's not ideal. So we are getting down to, like you said, the crunch time, and these guys just need to get their foot down and hopefully get that time to score them in the top sort of 3, top 2, and get a good start off the grid for this race ahead.
Yeah, Dominic Aligna's gone a little bit faster. I noticed that Samuel Chumley, while he was speaking, put himself up onto the front row, car 111, 2 tenths behind Dominic Aligna at the moment with his time of a 22.665 out there as well. We still got the likes of Fleety and Smoggy and Faulkner to be adding their lap times out there. There's Steenbergen fighting amongst the AMs in his Porsche at the moment. This is almost similar livery to what a Striker ran back on his Honda, or at least the colour scheme, at least with the sort of electric green or electric yellow and blue. I think that's what you'd sort of call it, the yellowish colour out there. It's very reminiscent of Lando Norris's race helmet, actually, to say it. And there is Maurice Striker in the Ferrari, really using all of the racetrack available to him out there. And you've got to do that, even though it's perhaps dangerous to you, or getting out on the gravel or on the grass. You've got to use as much of the track as you can.
Yeah, you certainly do. If you maximise the track and use every inch of it up until its limits, then you're really maximising the potential, not only for the track, but also your car and your time as well. So it's going to come in handy as well if these guys are maximising that track grip and width now, because when they get into their battles and they're side by side, they know where to position their car for the better line. One thing that I've seen a few people do is they'll do a couple of quick laps, and then the rest of the laps they'll be taking all kinds of different lines that you wouldn't expect someone to take when there's no cars around them. But it's just practice for when they're battling, because let's be honest, Brands Hatch isn't exactly the easiest track to battle on. Maybe turn 2 to turn 4, yeah, we could have some good battles there, but that's, for me, that's about where it draws the line. The rest is pretty difficult to get the overtake unless you get a good exit speed on one of the shorter straights. But I don't feel it's very easy to make the overtakes here, and especially with the size of some of these cars out there tonight as well, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens between these guys.
Yeah, and I'm noticing, I think Ryan Blanchett, and I can't remember the other driver that was in the same team with him as well, but I think they've changed their livery from the Budweiser one. I think that might have been after my comment. I feel a little bit bad. I said their previous Budweiser livery just didn't really suit the car that they were driving, and it looked well, ugly was the word that I used, which does make me feel a little bit bad. But it's stripped back to a more simple black and white livery, which I do kind of like. It does look very it's very simplistic and actually works very well. But I do apologise if I have enforced the livery change. You're more than welcome to run whatever you do, but it's, yeah, definitely getting into the midst of crunch time, or squeaky bum time as Callum has called it. We've got just under a minute and a half left now. Samuel Chumley's going to try and get an improvement. Dominic Aligna's gone even faster, 2 tenths faster, in fact, as he goes. Sam Fleety's demoted. No, he hasn't demoted Smoggy at the moment, but because he's not gone all that faster. How about Chumley? Is he going to improve? I think he's starting a lap. Here's Stuart Pryor as well in the Lamborghini. I think that was the other Budweiser car at the moment. That was the one I had a particular problem with. But in the black and white, and it does look a lot more satisfying onto the car, at least.
Yeah, it certainly does. And one thing I was just taking a quick peek at, and it seems to be the Ferrari is the car of choice. There's quite a few out there on the grid at the moment, but it seems to be the quicker cars are actually the McLarens and the Audis as it stands at the moment. But it seems to be 2x2x2 for the top 6 in terms of the manufacturer of car that they've chosen. Got the 2 McLarens leading, 2 Audis following that, and then 2 Ferraris following that. But Ferrari seems to be heavy on the numbers throughout this grid as well, so that's an interesting sight to see for me, because that's also the same in a couple of other different simulators that I use, so the Ferrari does certainly seem to be a popular choice for this class of car.
Yeah, I believe 13 Ferraris in total out of all of the drivers who are signed up to race. From the statistics, I think there's only one car that we are missing out of all of the cars available, and that is the Honda. There's a few wildcard cars out there as well, but qualifying has now ended. The time has gone down. It's the final time to get out a lap. Dominic Ligner, he's not going to do it. He's going to stay in the pits. So it's going to be down to the rest. Chumley crosses the line, doesn't improve on his lap time, at least not enough to change his position at the moment. Here's Adam Brown in the Aston Martin. Can he improve on his time? No, he stays P20 for the time being. We've got the rest strikers into the pits, so it's down to Fleety, Smoggy, Faulkner, Southfield and Troyer to maybe get up, or maybe even Slav from P12.
Yeah, these guys have got their last-ditch hope now, so this is the time to shine and really push that car. If you want to get on to that podium for your starting position, then you need to really push your car to its limits now. We're coming up to the last few corners for Faulkner here, who's going to try and beat his time and rise up from P6 as it stands 7/10 behind. And it looks like, let's just have a look. Wait till he gets across the line. Will he do it? It looks like a good lap so far. There's a slight off track with a couple of wheels going off there, but he does move up into P2. So fantastic lap there, setting him into the positions I said you want to be in. And can Elias do the same thing? Can he copy what we've just seen? Move up? No, it's going to be a P8 start there.
Wow, then only Faulkner are able to improve to get up toward the front, but we'll run you through the grid order at the moment. And Dominic Ligner takes pole position alongside Ethan Faulkner at the moment. They make up your front row for this race this evening. Then we have Samuel Chumley P3 in the McLaren with Maurice Stryker in P number 4. Sam Fleety and Sir Smoggy are in 5 and 6 with Jack Southfield, Elias Troyer, Jamie Nuttall and Oscar Saristo rounding off your top 10. Then we have Mav Gardner, Stuart Pryor, Slav, Ryan Blanchett, Lucas Spies, Ivan Tomasi, Gemello, Cisco, Steenbergen, Brown and McGowan rounding off your grid, with Blanchett taking the pole for the AMS, and the two classes remain completely split down the middle from the top 13 down from then 14 all the way to position number 21. And someone picking the land yacht is the Bentley is awesome. I do like that car. Says Stuart Rice. It's a nice looking car, I suppose. It's one that I wouldn't have expected to see out there, in all honesty, as far as GT cars go, but it is of course a GT car, and it well, Jack Southfield is at least struggling maybe a little bit with it at the moment, not in his usual stance as he was in the Porsche for the last couple of seasons, but you know, there's all the time to get used to the car. Maybe it's just a challenge for Jack to try and get through, but if he loses any places, I think the TSRC guys are going to have a lot to say about it. I'm looking at you, Andrew Pike.
I certainly have been informed about that, and I think there will be a couple of words mentioned, but I do feel kind of bad for the Bentley in a way, because it's the only one out there on the course, but I do it does excite me at the same time, because I'm really looking forward to seeing if that car can push on, and how easy will it be for the Bentley to push forward and try and claim some positions on the more dominating cars of the McLarens, Ferraris and Audis. Yes,
and it'll be a very interesting way to see it at the moment. Jack will be banned if he doesn't finish on the podium, says Kieran in the chat at the moment. So wow, all on the line for Jack Southfield this evening, as he's really got to get a move on in that Bentley as well. And while we've got a moment, I'll just say, if you've not done so already, please do give all the support you can to the JP Broadcasting channel. We all work very, very hard. James not more so, but quite well, fittingly more so, I suppose, as he runs everything, and we just answer the call when we're summoned. But all the support does go a long way, so make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and just check out all of the racing content we've got. We've got everything you're going to enjoy from racing. So if you've not liked the stream already, that one person currently watching, then please do pop a like on there, as all the support does go a very long way. But we're going to be getting into the formation app in a few moments time, and well, what have the drivers got to do out there? So this is a tricky track, it's narrow, it's technical, overtaking's not going to be the best. How are the drivers going to prepare themselves best for a race like this?
It's not going to be easy, but the main thing here is going to be composure and nerves. You want to try and keep those nerves away and behind you, and you want to just keep composed, get into your rhythm as early as you possibly can as well. You know, this isn't a sprint. Well, some people would deem it as a sprint, but I see it more as a marathon. You know, there's a pit stop, a mandatory pit stop in this. You know, you've got to be strategic about it, and you've got to really set your pace. So it's just like you were running an actual marathon. You need to set your pace, and you need to keep at that pace. You can't let it drop. You just need to keep plugging, and if you feel you can go faster, go a little faster, but don't overdo it where you've got to then slow down too much because you've overdone your tyres or something. So main thing is getting in that rhythm as soon as possible before the other drivers, and once you've done that, especially if you're the leader at the minute as well, you're going to be able to just focus on what's ahead and put your foot down as flat as you possibly can to get the best acceleration off that line.
Yeah, and we've seen that in races before, and it's going to be very important for the leaders to get off. How hungry will Faulkner be into turn one? We'll find that out very soon. Faulkner, one of the newest drivers on the grid, and he's already impressed us. He's been absolutely phenomenal in the pre-season race, and then he was phenomenal in the first couple of rounds as well, really fighting up amongst the sharp end. Maybe not getting the results he would have wanted in a lot of the races, but he's definitely been up there over the time as well. So we'll see if he can challenge Dominic Aligna off the line at the moment, but it's going to be quite the race. Devon Royal in the chat says he's got a feeling there's a good race inbound. So do I, actually. It's the halfway point, and there's still a lot of racing to go, lots of points to be scored, but I think you've just got to go for it, haven't you, Callum? If you've got the chance, if there's a gap, if there's a chance to get in the lead or chance to get up a higher place or perhaps even jump somebody in the pit lane, you've just got to go for it, I think, haven't you?
You certainly do, and especially at a track like Brands Hatch, it's a very historic track and a fantastic one at that as well. So you got to really make sure you get the most out of this before you head to Kota for the next round as well. So you got to really maximise your car, get the full potential out of this track and car, and just enjoy yourself while you're at such a spectacular track.
Right then, here we go. We are just one corner away from getting this race started. Coming through the Clark curve now, 2 by 2, they all go. It's Aligna, Faulkner, Chumley, Striker, Fleety, Smoggy, Southfield, Nuttall, Troyer, Saristo, Pryor, Lodger, Blanchett, Spice, Tomasi, Gemello, Cisco, Brown, McGowan, Gardner, and Steenbergen, who is going to be getting the jump off the line. We're approaching now, waiting for the green flags to get round number 3 underway. When are they going to punch it? It's now. The green flags are waved, and we're off and racing for round number 3, and Faulkner's got a poor run at the moment, and it looks like Aligna is going to keep the lead at the minute. He's going to try and keep the drivers behind him. Is Faulkner as well. Striker trying to make some moves. Chumley now trying to make a move as well, and here comes Faulkner down the inside of turn number 2 now. He's got the line on him, and he's going to force Aligna out wide, and Chumley's going to be invited now to draw alongside the Ferrari as they go. It's McLaren versus Ferrari in the top 4, but it's a very clean getaway for everyone.
That certainly is, and what a race start we were just treated to there. Incredible scenes from what we've seen already, and the 2 Audis are currently holding back that Bentley there as well, so they're going to have to do a sterling job to try and keep that vehicle behind them. You can see the Lexus just in the background as well pushing out, but the Bentley's going to go side by side now. Southfield's going to see if he can get the position on the outside line. Doesn't have the momentum to get up fully side by side, leading around into the quick right-hander, but there's a couple more corners yet to go. He's looking up the inside line, doesn't go for the move. He's going to keep back behind the Audis and try and get a bit of that slipstream, and well, ultimately as well, when you're stuck behind another car, even though you're not going for the move, you're going to be saving a little bit of fuel as well. So that's something to remember for this race. It's still early doors, so it won't take much of an effect as a minute, as we've got a few cars going off track. And well, there's one going off track there. Tomasi, unfortunately, going off track in a lovely looking McLaren there in a beautiful looking livery, but we did have the Aston Martin just ahead of that as well going off. So unfortunate situation there for those guys, but hopefully they can carry on and keep the pace up. But the quickest lap time is sort of jumping between different races at the minute, and we'll wait for that to settle down over the next couple of laps. But yeah, fantastic start from what we've seen so far. And well, I have to say the Bentley's moved up by 1, but how much more positions can that vehicle gain? And well, that's going to be something keen to watch on the eye, I think. But the main battle of the minute is going to be between Ferrari and McLaren. This is if it was a manufacturer or constructors championship, this would be very interesting indeed, because well, this is like watching the F1 at the minute with Red Bull trying to fight all the other teams off. So this is going to be really interesting to see what these guys can do for the rest of this race around well, it's going to be a tough track, I think. 40 minutes non-stop racing, pit stop in between. The Porsche's going up the inside of the Aston Martin there. Can he stick the move? Aston's probably going to carry a little more momentum. No, goes a little wide, but they're still going to go side by side up the straight, and they're probably going to stay like that till the following corner.
Yeah, these are giving some great respect to one another, and I wouldn't say there's too much fighting that Red Bull are doing. At least if you're Max Verstappen, you're just sort of putting it on P1 and driving off to the end for the time being. But yes, very thrilling stuff at the front at the moment. Some more thrilling stuff. Bit of contact between these two at the back now. This is for the last couple positions among the AMs and among the majority of the field as well. Just don't get too much argy-bargy going on. Here's Cisco as well. I think he's racing along with Spies in the Ferrari just ahead of him. Side by side, they're going into the first corner now. The Italian liveried car and the Italian manufactured car as well. The McLaren versus the Ferrari coming still side by side as they've exited turn 1 in towards Druids now. It's the inside line for car number 97. He's going to cut off the Ferrari just behind him and keep the position for the time being. Well, take the position actually from Lucas Spies in the Ferrari. Here's Oscar Soristo in the Porsche. He's challenging Nuttall, gets a great exit. He's going to draw alongside the Lexus now, but that Lexus has got a lot of straight line speed. And, well, Jamie Nuttall's been struggling with it this time, but he'll be glad that the straight line speed is very good in that Lexus.
Yeah, he certainly is, and it's very nice to see Alexis out on the field as well. This is the first time I've actually seen Alexis racing, so it's a very nice privilege once again for me being up in the booth here tonight to replace my fellow Norfolkan. So it's very nice to see Alexis running around the track and doing quite well, I have to say as well. Currently in P8 with a couple of Porsches just behind, but I know the Porsche is nothing to be messed with. They are ferocious machines, and they have the bonnet of those cars there, especially through the corners as well. I know coming out of corners, their exit speed just seems to be... So it's really good to see those guys putting up a good fight as it stands at the minute. And we've got cars going side by side up into turn 2 as it stands right now. And this is the battle for P3 as it stands. And Stroker's kind of battling, trying to get that position as best as he can. And he's not quite doing it just yet. He's got a couple more corners to try and solidify this move and try and push up the table. But it's not going to be easy, as it's just been shown there in the first couple of corners of this lap.
Great bit of respect shown for them going through turn 2 there, as Chumley just had the wider line and he was able to get his foot down a bit earlier, get the car straighter as Striker had the tighter inside line through there. There's only really there's two lines you can take through that corner. It's either a V or a U shape as you go through, as the Porsches come together, as Oscar Soristo and Elias Troyer make contact, and Troyer just about keeps it away from the wall. Going to lose a couple of positions as well. But those Porsches are certainly nimble machines out there. Jack Southfield drove one for a couple seasons last time, and he was never shy of a fight. At the moment, here's a replay as we go through now. Just, I think, a little bit of oversteer or understeer perhaps on the Porsche on the inside that sent them in perhaps into each other. I think that's a bit of a racing incident there. I think two of them going in at a high-speed corner. Not much that can be done.
No, it's very unfortunate, but corner to corner is never good. We've got another off track there, and well, this could cause some interesting spells here. And well, he's going to lose a couple of positions, and Faulkner's going to fall down the grid a little bit here, down into P3 as it stands. But he's going to have to fight to keep that P3 as he just drops down to P4, because I believe that Striker in the other vehicle there, he's got the position, and he's moved up as it stands as well. So Faulkner's going to have to try and screw his head back on and get back into that rhythm as quick as he possibly can to gain those positions back. We know he's got the pace, and we've seen it in qualifying. We've seen it to the start of the race up until that point. So hopefully he doesn't let the incident phase him too much, and can carry on with his head held high.
Yeah, going very wide into the gravel trap was Faulkner at Paddock Hill Bend, and that really did not help him. And Dominic Aligna said, "Thank you very much. It's a shame you're out there, but that's my position now." And perhaps just perhaps a bit of pressure, or perhaps a little bit of complacency from Faulkner there, coming from the well, I don't want to say rookie, but new driver, if you're that way inclined to say it. But a bit of pressure coming from the lead, and he's now going to have to really work to get that back up there as well and fight among. And it's, well, 1.6 seconds the gap between Chumley and Aligna, as this fight at the back still battles on, and they'll be glad that they've got at least a bit of company with one another throughout this race.
Yeah, they'll be glad for company, but I will say they're having fantastic battles in the minute. It doesn't matter where you're battling on the grid, as long as you're having fun. And it seems like these two certainly are doing just that. So these guys are having a nice close battle, and well, like you say, I think it might go on for the entirety of the race, judging on the pace is very similar, and there's not much time between the two cars either. You can see as the last update came through, there's only 2 tenths between the two cars there. It's opened up just a little bit now, but I feel that these guys are going to be able to keep it nice and close for the entirety of the race, and they're going to have a nice little battle between each other, and who knows, they might pick up some other positions as well. So the Porsches do seem to be strolling up the grid quite nicely there, and you can see the one of the only Lamborghinis on the grid in P11, car number 10 in P11. That's Mr. Pryor, who's got to try and fend off the incoming Porsche behind him. I mean, it's not hard to miss it in your mirrors. It would be in that kind of bright green with the pinky purpley wing mirrors there, so it's certainly going to be easy to spot when it comes to defending against it. But that's another story. You know, defending against a Porsche is never easy. I've tried it many times, and I have to admit I've struggled every single time. But let's see what will happen here. Does go for the inside line? Does opt for the inside line? Doesn't quite have the momentum or late enough braking to slide up the inside though. So he's going to have to stick in his position at the minute. Still look at the rear of that Lamborghini. Maybe frustrating the Porsche driver there, but who knows, over the next couple of laps or two, maybe he will be able to grab that position from that Lambo, because it does seem to be catching up rather quickly, even though there's a slight gap forming on the home straight. Look how close these two are now, so it's only going to be moments until we're side by side.
Yeah, and the Porsche is very handy out of those slower speed corners. There's not many of them. Only turns 2 and 8 really are the slower corners. And here comes the Porsche down the inside there as they go up through turn number 4, and that's a place for Elias Troyer, who's going to try and put that Lamborghini in his mirrors and chase after Slav in the Mercedes just ahead as well. But will Pryor let that one go? Will be yet to see. But one thing I wanted to say was that out of the 3 tracks we've had so far, this one included, of course, all of them technical circuits. One point has come across every commentary stream, that is, it's going to be difficult to race, it's going to be difficult to overtake, it's going to be difficult to battle or go side by side, but every single round 1, round 2, and now this one as well, we've been proven wrong. But I think that's just from the caliber of drivers perhaps, or is that us underestimating the circuits that we're on? What do you think, Callum?
Well, I think from obviously first impressions from these drivers, from what I've seen so far, and the racing that I've seen in the first 10 minutes of the session here, as that just goes by, from what I've been treated to tonight, these races have been absolutely fantastic, and I don't think Brands Hatch is actually that difficult to overtake on. I think what's difficult is these drivers to overtake, because they've all got such great skill, and they're able to defend very well. We've only seen like one bit of contact that was between the 2 Porsches, and that's about it really. So very impressive stuff. I am quite blown away actually that we haven't had any more catastrophes. So I'm really happy to be a part of this tonight, and very privileged as well. So thank you very much everyone that was involved to get me in the booth tonight. But it's great to see that these guys are going around and giving it a good shot. There are plenty of overtakes, plenty of battles going on, so I think I underestimated the drivers, if anything, so I will hold my hands up and apologise there, because these guys are really giving it their best shot. But I'm just looking ahead at the next few rounds, and I think Kota will bring some good battles as well, and, well, Bathurst being another one that could be a little bit tricky, you know, how narrow that is. Sano I don't have great knowledge on, but I will do my revision on that and find out how well that'll be in terms of the overtaken well. But I think Kota is going to be fantastic for battles, because I think we're going to see a couple of 3 wides on that track, because it's very easy to do, especially leading into turn 1 there.
Yes, it is, and it's the sprint round, of course, at Kota as well, so there'll be 2 races going through, which will make it even more exciting for you all out there to watch at the minute. We're keeping an eye on this battle though. The battle for the last 2 places on the podium is Samuel Chumley leading Maurice Stryker and Ethan Faulkner, who's dropping off a little bit, maybe falling into the clutches of Smoggy and Fleety behind as well. There's a few little battles sort of brewing at the moment as they're going along, and Stryker's looking very set to perhaps at least put some pressure on the McLaren at the moment. It's still 2x2 in the top 6 actually, as they've all worked themselves out quite nicely. It's been the running theme throughout qualifying and the running theme throughout the race. The pit window is also now open. Mav Gardner's been the first driver to make his way into the pit lane now, but the drivers, they have 17 minutes and 42 seconds left of the pit window. When do they go? Do they go early? Do they go late? What's your insight, Callum? What do you think the strategy is around here?
So I do think it is based on your battles, because for example, if we take a look at this battle here. You've got Striker, who's currently P3, and he's kind of in the middle of that battle there. Or, for example, these two. This will be a good little example here. You've got these two battling out here for P17. And, well, if you were the Porsche, I would be going in possibly a little later. Because you'd wait, if it was me, if that Aston goes in the next sort of 7 to 12 minutes. I know that's quite a big gap, but if it goes in between that sort of window, then I would be looking to stay out a lap or two more, because I feel like the Porsche may have a little extra pace on that Aston if it wasn't in front of it, slightly defending on some of these corners. You can see how close they're getting there. So if I was the Porsche, I'd be going a little bit later. So I think it depends on your battles. If you're able to catch the car ahead and you're getting quite close, but not close enough to get the pass done, I'd certainly be going for a later option in the pit strategy. However, if you're defending, I'd probably be going a little earlier and then try and slide back into that routine and that rhythm that I mentioned as soon as possible when you come back up the pits.
Yeah, and it's only a short lap around this circuit as well. Only 9 corners, about a minute 22 or minute 25 or so on the laps, depending on how quickly you're going out there as well, as these two continue their fight toward the back. But they're going to have to play it by ear, it seems, the drivers out there. But they're skilled enough to know when to come in, perhaps. We've seen the undercut be quite prevalent at some of these tracks. Suzuka, last week, there was a couple undercuts made, which did get the drivers up a few positions out of fights as well, and even in the Nürburgring as well. Just tracks where it's not the easiest to overtake have been quite favourable of an undercut, perhaps, as Spies now comes in as he's fighting for his place among the Yams at the moment. Blanchett and Cisco still yet to come in, of course, and where's the other leader of the AM Championship, Tomasi? He's already come in as well, so we'll see how strong an undercut is around this circuit in a few moments' time. But at the moment, only one of the pros has come in, and we're still watching Striker chase down Chumley for P2.
Yeah, close battle between those who was closing up to be a close battle, shall we say. And, well, just under 3 seconds between the top two, which isn't a mega distance, but that is quite a bit of time to make up. And, well, considering we've got just over 24 minutes left of the race, you know, that you kind of got to get a move on to get that time squashed out. But the battle for P2, as it stands, isn't really going to help that, because the more that these guys battle, the slower that they're going to be compared to your leader. So that's one thing to keep in mind, because you can see they've actually lost a 10th just on the between the second to last update and the last update there on the timing tower. They've actually lost a 10th on the leader. So, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're losing a 10th every update, and there's, bearing in mind there's 3 per lap, then, well, you know, 3/10 a lap, that's not great. You know, you kind of need to get by one another or work as a team almost to catch the leader and then bring the fight to the leader of the race to try and get a better position and, well, catch up as soon as possible as well, because, like I say, you've only got a certain amount of time to do it. And yes, pit strategy may help you, but ultimately it's going to come down to, if you're going to keep battling, that will slow you down too much and your pit strategy won't actually matter.
Yeah, and if there's anything that Dominic is good at, it is leading a race, and he's definitely controlling that gap very, very well at the moment. 3.126 seconds is the gap to the leader, and with Chumley and Striker battling as they are, there's very little chance of them really catching at the moment. But there's not been too many dramatic minutes in this fight. Faulkner is teetering on the edge of getting close to joining in on this, so the 3 of them could fight through at the moment. The 2 Audis, Smokey and Sam Fleety, out there at the moment. They're still holding station, fighting along. Maybe a little fight brewing between the 2 of them. Sam's definitely not going to be one to shy away from a move if it's there for the time being. But the top 6 all sort of squabbling amongst themselves, trying to find some time. And again, Faulkner dropping off again to the top, well, to positions 2 and 3 at the moment, and he could end up falling into the clutches of Smokey and Fleety, although they've got to navigate the lap car, well, the back marker car, I suppose. I don't want to call it a back marker, but it's a car that they're about to lap. So I think that is not Spies. I want to say that's Blanchette's Ferrari as they're coming past at the moment as well. But finding their way through. Blue flags, of course, they don't have to get out of the way, but they do have to sort of be predictable out there, is my translation of it, or at least that's what Zach tells me. So if I am wrong, it's Zach's fault, everyone, so do keep that in mind. There's my second jab of him, and I think I'll leave him alone for the rest of the stream at the moment, as we continue to tick down. We're almost reaching the halfway point at the moment, and gosh, I don't know, when are these pros going to come in? When are they going to pull the trigger for these pit stops?
I think for those guys, it could be based on fuel. Because ideally you want to run the car till it's as light as possible to get the quicker times out of the vehicle. And well, you also want to keep an eye on tyre wear at the same time, as well as watching your times. And it got a bit hairy there with the back marker Aston Martin. Well, it's slightly in the way, but done quite well to keep out of it and not cause any contact. But here we go again. Porsche side by side, leading down the back straight now into the quick right-hander. We've seen what happened here before. They're going to be corner to corner once again. Can they do it correct this time? And they do, because the blue and green Porsche there has slightly backed off. Not by much, though, so they do swap positions there after that straight. And well, a little gap is now forming, but once again, about the pit stops for the pros, I think it does depend on the fuel levels and tyre wear and times. You know, there's many things it comes down to, and especially lap times. You know, if you notice that you're starting to go a couple of seconds slower each lap, or a second slower each lap, you kind of want to get a move on and get in the pits, because you don't want to lose too much time, especially if you're that leader with a 4-second gap at the moment. So that has actually gained a second since we last spoke about it. So that is one thing to keep in mind as well. So it is just going to come down to the statistics behind it. And if these drivers are keeping half an eye on it, they will know exactly when to make their pit stops, as we have another Audi entering the pits at the moment as well. There he is, Sam Fleety, coming in for his pit stop there. So he's going to roll down pit road and get his stop done. The mandatory 25-second fuel time. No tyre change required, but some of these drivers, who knows, they might opt to change tyres. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys do and pit stop times, but that will affect, obviously, their track position. As you can see, the cars are still absolutely flying around this track. And, well, we're being treated to some great racing, but the sun is getting a little lower, so does that get in the driver's eyes? Have you ever raced with the sun in your eyes, Kelsey? Because I have, and I tell you what, it's really painful.
Yes, I have had a few times of racing with the sun in my eyes. Trying to spot braking points is an absolute nightmare. I've been keeping my eye on the tower while you were talking there, and I've noticed that Ethan Faulkner has got himself ahead of Samuel Chumley during the pit stops. I'm not sure exactly how that happened. Perhaps one took tyres, one didn't, or perhaps just slower pit stop, or something happened in the time. But Faulkner has jumped him in the pits and got himself ahead of the 111 car. And not only that, it's actually lost out to Sam Fleety as well. What is going on with Chumley?
Yeah, not too sure what has happened there, but I'm waiting to see the timing table kind of switch around and see these names all move around to get a full understanding, because once all these guys have had their pit stop, yeah, there we go. Now that most cars are getting their pit stops done, it will be interesting to see who comes out on top and, well, what time difference that's actually made, as there is your leader currently, as it stands, 4.5 seconds up the road from Smoggy is Stryker, who's leading the race as it stands at the minute in that Ferrari. And, well, one thing I will mention, just before that, Gardner is off doing a bit of gardening on the side of the track in that BMW, so hopefully he can rejoin nice and safely. He does so just there, getting it back on the tarmac and keep going nice and smoothly. But one thing to mention, Southfield hasn't had a pit stop yet, but that Bentley is in P3. It's currently in the position where he's going to avoid the ban, so he needs to try and hold it there as best as he can. But good luck doing that when you've got Alexis chasing you, and well, you've got the McLarens and the Ferraris that looked very strong, who have already been in the pit stop and had their stuff done.
Oh, Kieran has pointed out to me in the live chat that it appears to be no tyres for Faulkner, so that would be why the stop time was much shorter. Oh, that was Stryker getting all out of shape in the pit lane and giving the barrier a kiss on the way in. Well, it was a bit more of a kiss, actually. coming in. It was a good whack. That will affect his stop time at the moment. But yes, no tyres for Faulkner. That'll be why he got ahead of Chunley then. So he's managed to, he's decided that the tyres weren't worth it perhaps out on this circuit. But here it is again. His striker coming through in towards the pit lane now. And he brakes on the pit. I think that brief moment on the grass might have unsettled him, and the car just went there and they just lost it coming in.
Yeah, unfortunate error, but these things happen in races. But your race isn't over after a little slip up like that. You know, like I said, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You know, there's more to come. So just keep going, keep your foot planted, and see what you can make back up, because it's not a whole great deal of time that's been lost. So just keep your head up, keep going, and keep that momentum swinging around this lovely track here in the sunny United Kingdom.
Yeah, sunny United Kingdom. It's not very representative of what the weather's like in Kent at the moment, to be honest, because it's been rain for the last few days or so. I'm having a look. It seems if I'm not mistaken, Ethan Faulkner's now ahead of Ligner as well. Yeah, 67. I'm looking at the track map. He's a good few seconds ahead of Ligner. So the undercut for Faulkner has put him back in the position to be winning this race, perhaps, especially since the top three are still yet to pit at the moment.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting, because we're coming up to the last few minutes of the pit window, so they do need to sort of think about getting this done as soon as possible. But if they're not losing too much time, then they can keep going, as Tomasi has taken a bit of an off track there, but managed to keep going and get the pace back up to well, standard really as soon as possible. Unfortunately, a little behind the cars ahead, but it's going to keep going and try and get that McLaren as quick as possible around this Brands Hatch circuit.
Yes, he is going to try and get himself back in. Oh, that's not going to be the way to do it, though. Getting onto the gravel trap there at the moment. That gravel trap will suck you in if you do get those tyres on there, and that is definitely not what you want. We saw Faulkner do that earlier. Is it going to be a repeat? But, well, Faulkner hasn't got fresh tyres. I'd imagine the others do, and that's why they are losing out to Faulkner at the moment. So it's whether Faulkner can keep that position and make that Ferrari as wide as possible through there. He might have had an easier time if he was in the Bentley of Jack Southfield, but at the moment it's not the case, and he's going to have to try and defend with all of his might in these remaining 14 minutes and 41 seconds of the race at the moment. And well, so Smogey's in now, so it's just Brown, Southfield and Nuttall. No, Nuttall's now in too, so it's Brown and Southfield who's still it's a pit stop. Southfield really going long all the way as far as he can at the moment, and well, I don't know, if he doesn't stop, he'll have to serve a 120-second time penalty, which I don't think anybody can really recover from, especially since it comes in after the race, unless something absolutely catastrophic or an act of the racing gods does happen and all the other cars manage to simultaneously spin and Jack Southfield doesn't. I don't know, who knows. Very, very low possibility of that actually happening, but out comes Smogey now. Let's see where they're going to come out compared to the others. Are they going to come out a bit further behind as that? There's Fleety coming along as well. Nuttall behind at the minute. What was the other car I was looking at? I think it was Fleety, Nuttall. They're both back in Holdham's station. They're back where they were.
They are indeed, and well, I don't think it will finish P1, but the Bentley is currently in the lead. Now, there is a pit stop still to be had for that absolute machine up top, so Southfield will be looking to get that done as soon as possible, I'm sure, with only 3 minutes remaining. So it's either this lap or the lap after that pit stop really needs to be done and dusted. So where that'll put the Bentley, I'm not too sure, but we will soon find out. There's a 41-second gap between the Ferrari in P2 and the Bentley, who's currently the leader of the race. 18 laps gone by. Smogey here is trucking along very nicely in the Audi, and well, having a nice little run here just on Striker, who's in the Ferrari just behind in P6. So this is going to be the battle for P5, but if you can get a bit closer, P4 could be on the cards for either one of these cars as well. So if they can get their foot down just a little bit more and try and almost work together to catch those cars up ahead, then, well, this could be the battle for P4. And they're going to get very close leading into Paddock Hill Bend here. And, well, no one's going to go for the move. All the back end of the Audi gets a bit squirrely. You're going to have to go for the inside line. Going to have to go defensive now as the Ferrari goes to take the outside line. Carries a bit more momentum. Door bashing all the way round. Nice and tight. You can fit just about a paperclip in between those two cars as they went round turn 2 there. And almost a bit of contact there. Corner to corner. The Ferrari does go a little bit off track, but the Audi has got slight momentum up the inside line. So the Audi does have the advantage currently. Can the Ferrari carry a bit more momentum? No, backs out entirely. And the Audi goes by, holds the position after those few corners that are looking a bit brittle, but they managed to come away nice and cleanly. And, well, the Bentley, lo and behold, has moved down to P7. So definitely not in the lead no more, but it's still fighting out with the Lexus as it stands. So everyone on the grid has now had their pit stop, I believe. So now it is just a sprint to the finish.
Yes, it is. And one thing I'll say is that Kieran has once again pointed out that Sir Smoggy has not taken tyres on his pit stops. So 2 of the drivers opting to go, and well, as I speak about him, he's off the circuit. That option to not take tyres has not worked out in his favour. I'm not sure exactly what happened to see Sir Smoggy so far out on the, well, the not grey stuff, I suppose, but that's what's happened. The tyres really not liking it out there as well, and Dominic Aligna's closed that gap very, very quickly. Is putting all the pressure he can now on Faulkner. The question remains, can Faulkner hold off for the next 10 minutes and 50 seconds? I don't know if there's lots of laps to go. It's a short lap around here, and Faulkner's really going to have to hold off against one of the more seasoned drivers in amongst the field at the moment. That McLaren is making himself known. He's making his presence very well known and trying to get through all of the blue flags traffic as well. It's going to perhaps help Faulkner keep Aligna behind if he can get ahead of one, and he can't, and Aligna can't, but the two of them are fairly inseparable at the moment, and perhaps Aligna being slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, potentially, but that's one thing that has also been mentioned in the YouTube chat as well, is if Faulkner can hold them off with the used tyres, then that will be seriously impressive. And yeah, what a sterling job that would be as the sun beams through the trees. But one thing to take into factor here is these back markers. Could that impede the race of these front 2 cars here battling for the race lead? Or maybe they're all sensible and it doesn't take an effect at all, but it's certainly going to be close between these two, and I'm sure there'll be a couple more back markers yet to overtake as well. So they've got to keep their heads on a swivel, because the last thing you need is any incidents here and any slip-ups, because just a second down the road is P3, so there's not much between these cars at all. Any kind of slip-up and you could fall outside of the podium. So these guys really do need to try and keep it on track, as the McLaren there in P2 was kind of looking a little bit squirrely or unstable on the exit of turn 4 there, I believe. And well, it's going to be a bit tricky now to get this move done, because you need to get it done as soon as possible if you're sitting there in P2 currently, because well, third place has tracked down the time a little bit. 2/10 has been eliminated between those two, so the gap is slowly closing because these two are battling, and like we mentioned before, battling does slow cars down. So it's going to be an impressive defend if Faulkner can do it, because soon he's potentially got to defend off 2 cars and 2 McLarens that Ferrari's going to have to deal with. So with the other Ferrari kind of out of the battle, Striker currently in P4, 3 odd seconds down the road from P3. He's got a bit of time to claw back, but it's one Ferrari versus the world at the minute. Can Faulkner do it? Last 8 minutes and just under 30 seconds now as they come across the line here. Well, it's going to be an interesting end to this race, and like has been mentioned in the chat, and like I went over, it's going to have to be a sterling job from Faulkner to keep these McLarens behind.
One thing that's working in Faulkner's favour is he's making Aligna work much, much harder, and perhaps that's wearing down his tyres more than he would like at the moment, although a little bit squirrely through the exit there for Faulkner. That slowed him down a little bit. That's maybe inviting Aligna in for a move or to perhaps set one up, but now it's invited Chumley in. We've got a 3-car fight for the lead of this race in the dying stages at the moment. Absolutely thrilling stuff here at Brands Hatch at the moment. The three of them going down the straight now and staying as close as they like to each other, and Faulkner making that car wide. He doesn't seem as squirrely as Smokey did a couple laps ago on his used tyres as well, keeping it together, keeping the rear end in shape, and well, as making Eligna make those errors, won that little bit wider as well. And that's invited Chumley into this fight, and what Faulkner are hopeful now is that Chumley gets a run on Eligna, as Eligna has a little bit of oversteer coming out of turn number 8 there. That could invite Chumley up the inside as well as they go along. This is absolutely engaging stuff to be watching in the last 7 minutes of this race.
Yeah, Chumley's just on the back of the pack here. This is the battle for the podium, and P1, 2, and 3 are all in close vicinity of each other. They're almost equidistant as they come down through Paddock Hill Bend as well. And looking up the inside line there is Illiger, and while he's not going to quite have the line there, he's got to watch the back end of that McLaren though, because that is looking a bit squirrely on a couple of these corners here. So he needs to keep that in line if he's to catch the Ferrari up ahead. But this could bring P3 into the mix though, because P3's car has looked a little more stable. The back end doesn't look to be flicking out just as much, whether that's because your quickest car on the grid with the purple lap time is maybe pushing it a little harder. I'm not too sure, but the gap is slowly forming now between P2 and 3, just as I say that. There's a bit of a bigger gap forming there, and again, the battle's still on. The Ferrari's still defending, as it's got a flashing nameplate coming down there. There's your leader in the dark grey, dark and light grey and the green livery as it comes around the final few turns. And once again, Illiger is off track, gonna have to go down the inside line, manages to defend the position, sticks out in P2, but my god, is it getting close between P2 and P3.
Yeah, it is. They're so close at the moment. You can't fit a piece of paper between the two of them as they're going along through the moment, but they're still battling away and battling hard. Faulkner's opened up that gap now a little bit. 5/10 is the gap at the moment, but Eligna will close that back down. Perhaps he's getting a bit frustrated being stuck behind that Ferrari, wondering why can't I get past on fresher tyres, and why do I have to be battling Chumley, who's looking to the outside as well. Maybe gonna go for the switch back on the exit, doesn't quite get the run to do that, keeps Eligna ahead of him for the time being as well. This is exactly what Faulkner needs. He needs these cars to be fighting, and look who's lurking in the background as well. Maurice Stryker's coming in for this now too. This could turn into a 4-car fight for the lead of this race. This is getting more and more epic as the time ticks down as well. Less than 5 minutes to go. Faulkner putting on an absolutely staunch defense to keep those two McLarens at bay for the time being. Can anything get them past? Is Faulkner going to make a mistake? Is there going to be contact between the McLarens? What is going to happen in these final few moments of the race?
Yeah, and what a final few moments of the race. We do have indeed 4 minutes 30 to go of, close racing between two great manufacturers, because soon we could have the second Ferrari involved in this battle. So it'll be 2 Ferraris versus 2 McLarens, but at the minute it seems to be 1 Ferrari versus the world still, and Faulkner maintains that lead and may not be setting the quickest lap of the race, because that is held by the car in P2, Illiger. But I tell you what, he's doing a sterling job at the minute, holding out that race lead as it stands. And there they go through Paddock Hill Bend. There's a bit of contact there. Your leader's going to have to go to the outside line, which he does. He's not going to be able to hold the momentum. He's lost the position as it stands, but can he get the cut back? No, he doesn't quite get it. Does that bring Chonley in on the action now? Can he try and move up into P2? But that contact is going to be crucial in this battle.
Faulkner's not done yet as well. He's still got some pace in that car. Down the inside, he goes very desperate, and there's a bit more contact, and that sends him a little bit out of shape, and that'll invite Eligna to get a little bit further, and then Chumley to now go on the attack and go around the outside in towards the next corner here, down towards turn 5 they go. Can the McLaren get through? Is it going to be contact between the two of them? So close. Around the outside, the McLaren goes now, and I think that's P2.
That certainly is, and what a move that was. He managed to get that done, but Faulkner really does need to keep an eye on his mirrors now because he's potential to fall out of the podium, and they've both gone wide. P3 and P4, Faulkner and Striker both gone wide, and now it's battle of who's got the most supremacy out of the two lime green cars here as they both come around into the final corner now of the last couple of minutes here at Brands Hatch. And you've got Striker going up the inside line. Surely not. We're leading around to Paddock Hill Bend. They're going to be side by side. Are they both going to maintain it? Do they go a bit later on the brakes? They are going to enter side by side, but they're not going to go through the entire corner like that. They're going to go into single file line, but Striker has got that podium position. Faulkner's going to go up the inside line into turn one. He manages to stick his nose up the inside. We've seen this before. This is how he lost the lead. And, well, this is exactly what will happen here. Striker will take that position back because he has that advantage around the next couple of turns. He's got the inside line and playing a little bit defensive. Remember, Faulkner does have the pace going up this left-hander here, leading down the back straight. Not going to have the position done there, though. Can he get a bit extra momentum on the corner exit there? Not quite. There's just 2 minutes left to go. Your leader seems to be flying away now with the purple lap time there at the top. Ilga is absolutely darting away, and Chonley is only 1.2 seconds behind, but still I think that's a big enough gap for Ilga to calm his nerves and just bring this home for the race win. And, well, Southfield has moved up into P6. Not quite the podium that a lot of people were saying he should get in that Bentley, but at the minute the Lexus is fighting down in P7 as it stands with this Audi as well of Smokey. So Smokey had an off track or two. Unfortunate incidents there, but he's going to put the Lexus under pressure of Nuttall. So he's got to try and get that move done because they've only got 1 minute 20 left of racing to go. So I believe if this isn't the last white flag lap, then well, certainly the next one will be, because these cars are now coming around for lap 27 as they're going to go side by side into the final corner. Audi's going to hold the outside line. Can it carry the momentum? Don't get the back end too squirrely as it slightly slips there, but nothing too major. And, well, the blue flag's being shown there just moments before these two cross the line, and they're still going to go around in the same formation of Nuttall just in front. Bit squirrely there for the Audi, and we've seen that a couple of times now for some of these cars towards the end of this race.
Yeah, we have, and the straight line speed really coming into play for that Lexus once again. I think this is the final lap. I was watching the track map as we were going around, and Dominic Aligna crossed as we reached probably the 1 minute 24. So unless it's going to be by a second or so, it's going to be close whether this is the final lap or not. I'll keep my eye on the track map as we watch Slav try and make a move on Troyer. At the moment, it's all kicking off in the pros category for the time being, as Slav's trying to make a move on the Porsche. Has he got the inside line? He does, but the Porsche so nimble, able to just swoop around the outside, runs wide onto the grass, sends it out of shape, and that's Slav up into P9 now, taking away P9 from the Porsche at the moment. I think, no, we've got one more lap. This is it. The final lap is now. So I was just off with the times, but it was so close as we were going, and this fight is still brewing as Faulkner's got ahead of Striker once again. So this is the fight for the final place on the podium on the final lap.
Yeah, and what a final lap we are going to be treated to then. So it is Ferrari versus Ferrari. The two McLarens have reigned supreme in the end by the looks of things, with a 4-second gap between the Ferrari there in P3 and Chonley, who's in P2. So the McLarens are going to reign supreme at Brands Hatch, but at the minute you've got the Audi fighting the Lexus once again. Smoggy pulls forward and manages to catch that position on top of the Lexus there. So Nuttall does concede that track position and falls down by 1. But don't let your head slip yet. There's still half a lap to go at least, so there's potential for any errors or mistakes as we come up to the final few seconds of this lap now for the leaders.
Yes, we are. Any mistakes are going to be very crucial in these final few moments. But there he is, your leader, Dominic Aligna. He has got one more corner to navigate, and he has got this race in the bag. Samuel Chumley's been lurking in the background for the whole time. Ethan Faulkner gave him a very hard time making his Ferrari as wide as possible after not taking tyres. But Dominic Aligna is going to cross the line, your winner this evening, and his McLaren compatriot comes along to finish in P2. Faulkner gets himself onto the podium after an incredible drive. Maybe should have been at the front, but he couldn't quite hold on to it at the moment. Then Fleety crosses the line for P number 5. Jack Southfield is going to make that Bentley as wide as possible through the final corner now. He's going to get himself into P6, and he's going to get himself banned from TSRC as well at the moment for not finishing on the podium in that Bentley, with Jamie Nuttall in P8 as well. Then there's Slav in 9th place. Here's Spies as well, your AM leader. He has had an absolutely great race out there. He's 3rd place in the championship, I believe. Or is that Tomasi? I'll have to look again. Or he's perhaps tied for the lead. I'll just triple check that bit of information for you now. But he is... perhaps we've not seen too much of him, but he's done well to finish ahead of Blanchette, who's not going to score too many points. So this should put him ahead in the championship for the time being. But Spies coming along to win for the AMS as well. And it's been an absolutely thrilling evening of racing here at Brands Hatch, Callum.
Yeah, it certainly has. And, well, a fantastic night to what I've been treated to. And for my first time in the booth in this series, it's been absolutely amazing to watch these cars go around. Amazing talent out on the field from all the drivers, no matter where they're fighting on the field. You know, we had Brown having some good battles there in P18 for his finishing position, but we also had some amazing battles at the top as well. So fantastic overall from these guys. So, yeah, I'm blown away by what we've seen tonight.
Yes, and it's Dominic Aligna. Then he went from pole position and he won the race, and it wasn't an easy one for him either. He fought hard for that win, and he got himself there in the end. Flanking him on either side of the podium are Samuel Chumley in P2 and Ethan Faulkner in P number 3. Maurice Striker says he bottled it in the chat. He finishes P4 with Sam Fleety rounding off your top 5. Then we have Southfield, Smokey, Nuttall, Velogia and Troyer making up the top 10, with Pryor rounding off this contingent of the pros. Then Lucas Spies, Cisco and Blanchette make up your podium for the AMS, with Gamello, McGowan, Tomasi, Steenbergen, Brown, Gardiner and Saristo all finishing behind them. The 2 positions 20 and 21 not finishing the race as they went around. But wow, one question I have to ask for you, Callum: have you had fun here tonight with the TSRC Racing Series?
I certainly have. It's been absolutely fantastic, and I have to admit, I'm kind of gutted that I'm not here for the entire season, because, well, it's amazing racing, and because there's battles all over the field, no matter what point you are in these races, it's just non-stop action. So really, really fantastic from all the drivers, and a wonderful setup as well from the league runners. Fantastic system what they got here. I've never felt more welcome, and well, I found it so easy to settle in, really. So it's been absolutely wonderful time out today here at Brands Hatch with what is a fantastic racing series. So really do appreciate everyone's help for that, and what a night it's been.
Yeah, it has been an incredible night as well, and you don't have to miss out on all the racing action. Of course, we're here for 3 more Thursday nights. The sprint round is next at Kota, as we go for a great couple of races there, and then we've got a trip to Mount Panorama to Bathurst, and then a final round at I was all set up for this. It was the Netherlands, I believe. Zandvoort, I think we're going to. Or am I wrong? No, it's Bassano. There we go. I don't know why I had Zandvoort in my head. It's Bassano. But yes, you can catch all of that action here on the JP Broadcasting channel, as well as much as other racing content. There's Formula 3, there's NASCAR, there's all sorts of other amazing racing categories that you can tune into as well. I think the Radical Racing Series is on right now, so do head over there and show them some support as well, if that is on at the moment. But thank you very much to everybody in the live chat for tuning in and putting in some questions as well. It's been very, very much appreciated to have you all in there. Thank you, everybody, and everybody who has watched as well, and is watching after the fact, perhaps, as well. A big thank you to Callum for joining me in the box as well. Big thank you to Kieran Sharp as well for all of the cameras as well. But that is going to round us off. Join us again at the same time next week for some more action with the TSRC GT3 PC Series. I've been Kelsey Gill, you've had Callum Marham, and you've also had Kieran Sharp all in the box, giving you all this action. And from all of us here, it's a very, very warm good night.